Good morning, wonderful people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. So here we are at the end of September, at the end of month 17. I can't believe it. I know I say it every month. September really has whizzed by. Kind of the sort of whizzing by that feels almost out of control. So I've had in total 10 days away from home, with whizzing around, looking after my great aunt and then to my mum's, and then that beautiful 3 days in Dorset. Oh, I wouldn't have missed that for the world. But 10 days out of a month it's a chunk of time, especially in September when things in the garden and in the kitchen are so busy. And it's left me a few times really quite discombobulated about how on earth am I going to fit everything in. And then of course when I came back from my mum's, I got that horrible virus. Goodness knows what it was. And it ended up taking me a week to sort out my kitchen. It should have been a 2-day job. Take everything out, get everything cleaned, get the floor repainted, get everything back in. But in the end, like I say, it went on for a week just because I was completely fagged out by that virus, whatever it was. But it got done. But it also sort of got me thinking this month, and I'll tell you about a conversation I had with someone a couple of days ago too. I feel like a lot of the time, I feel like I'm chasing my tail, and I don't think that's a particularly healthy or productive way to live. So I am getting done what I need to get done, which is, I'm just trying to come with these blinking knees. I'm getting done the things that I need to get done, which is mainly growing my food and preserving my food. That's always going to be my number one priority at the moment. But a lot of the time, especially sort of in my head and on paper, I'm juggling, when am I going to see my great aunt? What do I need to do for her this week while I'm at home? Phone calls, letters I need to do for her. And then when I am with her, what are the priority jobs I need to do once I'm down in her neck of the woods? What do I need to do in the garden? What do I need to do in the kitchen? What do I need to do for my online shop? What do I need to do, or when am I going to fit in sewing for making more bunting, for instance? When am I going to manage to squeeze in that friend who I really want to see? It's just kind of chaos. And I know that this is just kind of normal. We're all juggling these things all the time, aren't we? It just feels sometimes like it was easier to do that when I was working full time than it is now, which may sound crazy, but when I was working full time, everything was based around my rota schedule. So if I looked at my rota and I thought, right, I've got Tuesday off, Friday is a sleep day following night shift, so I won't get anything done on Friday, but Friday evening I'll be up and about again, so maybe a bit of cooking. Saturday is a day off. So I'd think to myself, right, well, Saturday is going to be a great aunt day. Tuesday will be a combination of a bit of gardening, a bit of kitchen time, clean the house, wash my uniforms, that sort of thing. But if I didn't get to the garden, and if I didn't, say, get my tomatoes picked before they dropped and rotted, it didn't matter, essentially. It didn't matter because I was earning money. I'd just go to the shops and buy some. So I think one of the biggest things this year, or should I say this 18 months, because we're getting on for 18 months, is that pressing need always to be getting the food sorted out. I don't think, based on how I used to garden and enjoy the fruits of my labours back when I was working full time, I don't think I appreciated just what a full-time job it would become to try to be as near self-sufficient food-wise as possible, as it's turned out to be. So I was kind of intimating about this in my last video, about how I do want to sort of be a bit more organised and rationalise things in the garden so that I can achieve the same level of production, because the amount of food I'm producing at the moment is pretty good. It'll do me. It'd be nice to have a bit more, of course it would, especially the beans. But yeah, my production at the moment is good enough for where I want it to be. But I would just like to be able to do that in less time. So the other main thing in the last 18 months is my knees have got much, much worse. This isn't a pity party, by the way, it's just sort of to explain. So, because my knees are so bad, it now takes me sort of 4 or 5 hours to do what I used to do in 2 hours, because I just can't get comfy in any position to do the work. So I'll work for sort of 20 or 30 minutes and then I stop and I sit for 10, 15 minutes just to kind of try and ease the old knees a bit and then get back to the work. So things have been taking me longer to do, and whereby, say, 18 months, 2 years ago, a full day in the garden to me would have been 10 hours. I'd quite happily spend 10 full hours down there. Blitz the place, get it all done. Brilliant, done for another week. That 10 hours of work is now taking me more like 20 hours. Plus, there's no way I can do a 10-hour day anymore. No way, it's just agony. So I find that after about 6 hours, that's enough. So in other words, what I used to do in one day is now taking me 3 or 4 or 5 days, and I can't have that. So there are some plans I'm thinking about for the garden to make things a bit easier and a bit more economical on my time. But hopefully achieving the same level of production, because that is working out really well. Also, not just in terms of, if I want to free up some time, because I want to have some time to do nothing, because I never do nothing. It's crazy. At the moment, for instance, most evenings I'm doing something, especially at the moment, bottling, podding. I know we're all doing that, but even on other days, it's sort of, I end up sewing into the evening. It's like, no, hang on. I want to try and have a 10-hour day and then be done. Get a bit more rest to be a bit more perky the next day. But I want to find time for, and I've said this so many times to myself and to you guys, I want to find time to do some writing. I've barely written a line in 18 months. I used to write every week, mostly for myself. But yeah, I really want that to happen. So I was having a conversation a couple of days ago with a really lovely plot neighbour, and she retired, I think she retired early, about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was a bit of a surprise to me the other day when we were chatting that and she said she was feeling a bit low. And she doesn't normally experience feeling low. So we chatted and we sort of, excuse me, teased it out a bit. Excuse me a sec. And what it boiled down to is she was actually starting to feel overwhelmed by life, by all the things she's got going on. And I sort of identified with that, because it's what I'd been thinking about for the last few weeks as well, just that thing of, get up in the morning, what do I do first? I don't know what to do, there's so much to do, and I'm not getting anything finished, etc. So she was talking about the fact that since retirement, and sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place here. So we were talking about when we worked, so like I was saying a second ago, and you've got 2 days off and your evenings, and it's very structured, it's very, you have a routine. So you whack through your cleaning on a Thursday evening, for instance, do a load of cooking on Friday evening. The weekend is for the garden and for friends, etc. But she was saying that since retirement, she started to do all those things she wanted to do. So she's doing much more with her piano now. She's trying to learn much more complicated pieces, doing her volunteering bits, all her family duties with her grandchildren. And suddenly, she's way busier than she ever was when she was working, and suddenly feels like she can't actually do anything well, I suppose, and can't do anything to its fullest. So perhaps it's time to say, yes, I'm retired in her case, but no, I can't take on all these other things. I just maybe need 2 or 3 things that I do full time and that I do well, and have a sense of achievement from. So it's sort of tied in with how I've been thinking and feeling recently, of like, oh, it's just too much on. So one of the things I'm going to try to do, I'm going to have a little experiment for the next month of making my schedule like a work schedule. Because I am working. And I think that's the other thing. I think folk who don't really see me, say, on a daily basis or see what I'm up to really thoroughly, just assume that I'm pottering in my garden all day. Oh, how lovely. How lovely to spend 7 days in the garden. Oh, what a lovely hobby. No, it's work. It's hard work. And it's not 7 days. I wish I had 7 days in the garden. So anyway, I thought it might be a useful experiment for me to take October and say, right, if I was at work, if I treat everything I do as a job, how will that picture look? So I'm going to give myself specific days for the garden. I'm going to give myself a specific day for my shop, because it's quite time consuming, because I have to obviously source all the bits and pieces, and then things need cleaning, washing, pressing, repairing, whatever bits and pieces, photographing, uploading. It's quite time consuming. So yes, a day for my shop, a couple of days for my bunting, a day that's a kitchen day, whether that's preserving produce or cooking up a load of dishes for the following week, and then a day that's slightly more chilled, so a day with either friends or just reading or writing. Let's see if I can stick to it. I'll be flexible within that still, because obviously if I plan a garden day, say I plan to do the garden on a Monday and Thursday, and on both those days it's chucking down, well, I might change that to Tuesday and Friday, and then I'll just simply move the indoor stuff to the wet days. Got to give it a go, got to give something a go. Oh, and I forgot to put into that time with my great aunt. Yeah, I need an extra day a week. Oh, there's always something, isn't there? So yes, I think I've always been a really hard worker. I've always been organised, but I think now it's time to think work smarter, Vivi. So try to achieve more in less hours, just by putting a few structures in place. So in particular in the garden, obviously I've got all my bits and pieces built now, so my shed, the fence, deck. Over this winter I can slowly and quietly just rejig all those beds, get the compost on, get the leaves on, whatever it is, so that in future there's less work to do over the winter. So on those grey chilly days I can be indoors doing sewing or writing, and let's see how the plan goes for October. It's all very well making plans, isn't it? But then they go out of the window when someone says, oh, I need you, Vivi, come and help. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I like giving myself a challenge. I like an experiment. I like, shaking things up from time to time. So I'm hoping that I get loads done in the garden, loads more food preserved, all those other bits and pieces I want to do, and then gradually ease myself into the winter when I can do more of the quiet indoorsy stuff and hopefully put pen to paper again after all these months, because I miss it. So yes, I think if you're coming up for retirement or you've just started, take it easy. Don't overload your days. Don't think just because you've stopped work you suddenly are going to have hours and hours and hours to learn a new language, learn a new musical instrument, go travelling, do this, that, the other. It's too much. Let's stop trying to do too much. Let's simplify things and just enjoy doing a few things and doing them well and thoroughly. Hold me to that. Let's see what I'm saying at the end of October. Oh my goodness. So on that note, it's just a little quickie today because I've got too much to do. I've got so much to do. What I'm really trying to do today is clear my desk of loads of outstanding bits and bobs, lots of sort of admin-y, boring stuff. So I'm going to try and clear the decks of that. So tomorrow, the 1st of October, I say, right, first thing I do in the morning, my physiotherapy, because that's another thing, is trying to fit in my physiotherapy each day. It's crazy bonkers. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting excited to get things done today, to have a clear slate for October. Dead excited to get into the garden because there's so much to do, but it's all wonderful stuff. So, deep breath. Cut some stuff out, folk. Just cut some stuff out. We get so involved in extraneous stuff, don't we? Right. I'm now properly going to say cheerio to you all. I will see you really soon. It will be in the garden for the beginning of September, the September tour. The garden looks different in the space of a month. I look forward to seeing you all then, but in the meantime, happy harvesting, happy cooking, happy child minding, happy great aunt minding, happy house painting, happy cleaning, happy doing your accounts, happy doing all those things that we all have to do all the time, and hopefully a few moments of respite between in which to have a cup of tea and just a few quiet moments to reflect on how great our lives are going. See you soon, and in the meantime, take care.